What is going on, you guys? It's Zen, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be discussing gatekeepers. The gatekeepers in each division in the UFC. To clarify what a gatekeeper is, it's a fighter in each division who I believe is a great fighter, but they're not good enough to become the champion of the UFC, like to become a world champion. I think they're like on high levels. They're like an A tier, B tier fighter, but they're not good enough, in my opinion, to become the champion of their division, okay? So to kind of clarify, that's what a gatekeeper is, okay? And we'll go through every division who I believe is the gatekeeper of that division. And there could be multiple gatekeepers, but I'm going to try and keep it to one, except for one division, and I'll get to that in a second, okay? Let me go ahead and get into it first. So flyweight. Flyweight, I believe Kai France is the gatekeeper of that division. We obviously saw his fight with Brandon Moreno. Even though maybe there's a possibility that he can beat Brandon Moreno. I mean, you saw what Brandon Moreno did. I mean, I think Brandon Moreno is just on a different level compared to these other flyweights. Obviously, he's going to be fighting Pantoja, and we'll see what happens there. A guy who has beat him twice. But I think Kai France, he's a great fighter, but he won't be good enough to me to become the champion of the UFC in the flyweight division. I don't think he's good enough. But he's a great fighter, though. He's a great fighter. He had a few fights that he impressed me a lot with. Obviously, when he fought Cody Garbrandt, I mean, he completely rocked him and knocked him out. That was a great fight. But obviously, when he won against Moreno, I mean, even though he did pretty well in that fight, he lost it. And I don't think he was ever going to get a chance to probably fight Moreno again unless he really goes on a big-time win streak. So I'm going to go with Kai France in the flyweight division. At bantamweight, Rob Font. Rob Font just literally got a victory. What fight card was it? Was that the Leon one? That was not the Leon one. It was a different one. It was the one before or after Leon. Goodness gracious. Oh, I think it was the Izzy fight card, wasn't it? It was the Izzy Pereira fight card. He won against God, what is his name? He won against he was a really good fighter. Damn, I forgot his name. But yeah, Rob Font is just not good enough to me. He's a really good fighter. Like I said, a very good fighter, but he's going to lose to the top of the division. I think he loses to Petr Yan. I think he loses to Henry Cejudo. I think he loses, obviously, to the champ. I think he loses to Merab. I think he loses to Sean O'Malley. Like, he loses to, like, every single one of those guys. I think he's a good fighter. He's like a B-tier fighter, but he's just not good enough, and I don't think he'll ever be a champion. And possibly in the future, we'll probably see a guy, maybe Sean O'Malley will be a gatekeeper in that division. To be honest with you, we'll have to see. We'll have to see first, in my opinion, against him and Aljamain Sterling. But for now, it's Rob Font for 135 pounds. At featherweight is Calvin Kattar. Now, I was thinking of going different ways. I was considering Brian Ortega as well. But Calvin Kattar, yeah, I mean, dude, listen. If you're not... it seems like nowadays it's probably Max Holloway that is the gatekeeper. But Max Holloway was the champion. I'm talking about people who have never been a champion. So, obviously, Max Holloway is not going to be on this list. And, obviously, a guy like Petr Yan won't be on like... I could have said Petr Yan for bantamweights, especially nowadays. But I'm talking about somebody who hasn't been a champion before, who I don't believe will be a champion. Obviously, Max Holloway's been a champion. He's been the featherweight champion for quite a while before losing it to Alexander Volkanovski. So, he's not on this list. But Calvin Kattar, he's a great fighter. And same thing with Brian Ortega, another great fighter. But I just don't think that they're good enough, in my opinion, to be champions. I don't think they're good enough, in my honest opinion. But I went with Calvin Kattar mostly. I think he's more of a gatekeeper, in my opinion, compared to Brian Ortega. You know, Brian Ortega has some moments, obviously, in that fight against him and Volkanovski, but he got dominated after the fact that he let go of the guillotine. So, yeah. He's another gatekeeper, in my opinion, too, but still. Now, this is the division that I had two people for lightweight. I have Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. Now, people are like, oh my God, Dustin Poirier was an interim champion. The same thing with Justin Gaethje. Interim champions do not count. They don't count to me as a champion. Just because you're a champion, an interim champion, that doesn't constitute you as the champion. You have to be the lightweight, heavyweight champion, like a Islam Makhachev or a Khabib or a Conor McGregor. You can't be an interim champion. You know what I mean? So, obviously, I have both of these guys. I have more so Dustin, Just because even though I believe that Dustin Poirier could maybe beat Islam, I mean, he will have to knock him out. I just don't think that is very unlikely, though. I think Islam beats him more times than not, in my honest opinion. And Justin Gaethje, the reason why I have him here too, I don't think he's going to be fighting in the UFC that much longer. I think he's going to have maybe just a few more fights, and then that's pretty much it. I mean, he talked about it in his post-fight interview when he fought Fiziev, that he's going to probably be done if he doesn't get to the title. So, in my opinion, I got both of those guys. I think after Justin Gaethje's done, I mean, I think Dustin Poirier's probably going to fight for a little while longer. He might not even fight too much either, to be honest with you. So there might be a new gatekeeper for that division in the near future. But let's go to 170. At 170, I have Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns cemented that this past Saturday. That to me, he is a gatekeeper. A possible future gatekeeper is Belal Muhammad, because I don't think Belal Muhammad beats Leon Edwards. And I think it's a really close fight. But I think Colby Covington edges him out too. Another possible gatekeeper is Colby Covington. Colby Covington, to me, I mean, if he doesn't get the job done against Leon Edwards, he could possibly be a gatekeeper. But I didn't put but Colby here strictly because Colby damn near won his second fight against Kamaru Usman. They could have given him the win. Honestly, that was a very close fight, the second fight between him and Kamaru Usman. But I'm gonna put Gilbert Burns, who I truly don't believe he will be a champion in the welterweight division or in the UFC in general. And yeah, I just think that cemented him losing to Belal, cemented that in my honest opinion. So I'm gonna go with Gilbert Burns. So yeah. Next guy at middleweight. I think this is the clear cut for middleweight. I mean, there's a lot of guys in middleweight. I mean, there's guys that I don't think can beat, like a Robert Whittaker or Israel Adesanya. I'm not putting Robert Whittaker, by the way, because Robert Whittaker has been a champion. It is Marvin Vettori. As Lucas Tracy MMA, shout out to Lucas. Lucas Tracy MMA, subscribe to him. He's way bigger than me, so you probably already subscribed to him. Mediocre Marvin Vettori. He is not, I mean, he's a good fighter, but obviously nowhere near the top of the division. I mean, you saw what happened to him against Robert Whittaker. He got destroyed. Him against Izzy, it wasn't even close. Yeah, I mean, he's just not good enough, in my honest opinion, to be the champion of the UFC. But he can definitely beat guys. I mean, he beat Paulo Costa. I think he could beat a Jared Cannonier. Like, he could beat those guys, but that's another guy, Jared Cannonier. But Jared Cannonier is damn near like done with the UFC. I mean, Jared Cannonier, I think, is 39 years old, 38 or 39. So I don't think he's going to be fighting that much longer. I think Marvin Vettori is a little bit younger than him. So yeah, but I think he's the gatekeeper of that division 100%. I think there's nobody more clear-cut than him, in my honest opinion. At light heavyweight, I forgot who I put. Let me see. Oh, I put Lionheart. I put Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith, like I said, another solid fighter. He reminds me of Rob Font a little bit, kind of, like a little bit. He's the Rob Font of the light heavyweight division. Obviously, he had a title fight against John Jones. He got absolutely wrecked. He could have probably been the champion if he took that disqualification when he when he took the illegal knee. But yeah, he's just not good enough. He's a good fighter, but I don't think he's good enough. I think he beats Johnny. I think he beats Johnny Hendricks. Who he's gonna be? Is it Johnny Hendricks or no? No, Johnny Walker. My God, Johnny Hendricks is the other guy who actually was a champion. Johnny Walker. He's fighting Johnny Walker next. I can see him lose that fight, but I think more likely he's going to win. He's another one of those guys, man, like a top 5 guy, but he's just not there. So, yeah, I'm going to go with him. And finally, for the heavyweight division, I don't think there's anybody more clear-cut, in my opinion, than Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades, him and Marvin Vettori, to me, are the clear gatekeepers of their divisions. They're two fighters that are really good fighters, but they're nowhere near as good as the top of the division. I mean, you saw against him and Pavlovich, got smoked. Him against, even he lost to Derek Lewis. And Derek Lewis can damn near be a gatekeeper too, because he was always a guy who was just never good enough to be the champ. But yeah, I mean, in my honest opinion, Curtis Blades, another, like I said, another good fighter. You know what I mean? He has good power in his hands. Pretty good wrestler, but never good enough in my opinion. I mean, I didn't think he was going to be Pavlovich. I think if they rematch him and Aspinall, I think he loses. I think Tom Aspinall actually beats him. And yeah, I mean, just the rest of the division, I think he loses to Cyril Gane. If Cyril, maybe he could beat Cyril Gane, but I think Cyril Gane, if he's just able to keep the distance and use the striking, I mean, he's just a way much better striker than Curtis Blades. I think he can beat him probably by a unanimous decision, or he could probably finish him too. Who knows? And yeah, I think another like honorable mention, maybe a possible Tai Tuivasa is another guy. Obviously, Derek Lewis is probably another guy, but I see Derek Lewis not fighting that much longer either. I think he's going to be retired soon as well. Yeah, Tai Tuivasa is probably like the closest, I guess, a second place, but it's not really close. Curtis Blades is the gatekeeper. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all the divisions gatekeepers, and I'll see you guys soon. God bless y'all, and yeah, peace.